My boyfriend confessed that he resents my past while we plan our wedding.
Ooh, what happened in your past?
I am a 23-year-old woman and my boyfriend is 25. I'll call him Dan for this post. To give you some context, I'll briefly tell you how we met. When I was 19, I must confess, I was living a wild life. I had just moved out of my parents' house to go to college, and for the first time in my life, I experienced true freedom. By the way, this comes from Lonely Hamster 9917, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Carly.
I'm Keon.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we would do, so let us know what you would do in the comments. And OP says, I came from a home with overprotective parents who constantly stopped me from going out. I consider myself an extroverted person and have always enjoyed going out and having fun with my friends. During that time, I used to have one-night stands with people I met at parties. If I felt that a person and I had chemistry, I didn't see why we couldn't spend time together, as long as we both agreed and used protection. I've always thought that the idea that only men can enjoy their spicy-related life is quite sexist. It should be noted that during this time, I wasn't in any formal relationship with anyone. Dan and I were friends who had known each other for 2 years through social media. The truth is, the way we met in person wasn't so conventional, since I was kissing someone at that party. A few weeks later, he asked me to be his girlfriend, and I was very happy. It was the first time in my life that I can safely say I truly fell in love. He was a person I admired deeply. His character and kindness moved me. He always supported me and encouraged me to bring out the best in myself. He gave me this image of the perfect boyfriend who has a stable job, someone you can rely on, who takes care of his family, is emotionally available at all times, and is a perfectionist in all areas, both personal and professional. I truly love him. He nourished my life so much that I saw my future by his side and dreamed of one day marrying him. When we first brought up the topic of marriage, he excitedly told me that he saw his future with me too, and that he wanted to marry me someday. He even gave me a promise ring, which is given when you want to assure someone that you will marry them in the future. You could say it's a step before an engagement ring. We would periodically talk about our wedding plans, where we'd like to live, how many kids to have. We even started planning our retirement. He would sometimes make comments like, "When we get married," or "I can't wait to marry you." A few months ago, we started arguing over minor things, misunderstandings, or things that were happening in his life that for some reason he wouldn't tell me. He preferred to turn to other people and hide his problems from me. We almost always resolved these arguments the next day and continued our relationship as if nothing had happened. Honestly, I didn't think our arguments were serious enough to be overly concerned. The plot twist happened last week when we were in the middle of a date eating in his car while watching a series. That night, I noticed him somewhat distant and quieter than usual. I thought maybe he had a bad day at work, so I decided to give him some space and ask about it when we finished dinner. When the series ended, I asked him why he was so serious. He jokingly replied that he had a stressful day at work and that he was just tired. We were getting ready to go back to our houses when he said, "What if I don't take you back to your house and take you with me?" I replied, "Let's leave it for when we get married next year." He remained silent for a few moments and said, "What if I told you that I don't really want to get married?" I looked at him, seriously surprised by the sudden revelation. I asked him where that came from, and somewhat annoyed, he told me that there were several things he had been hiding from me since we started dating. I told him to tell me the whole truth and say what he really thinks. These were his confessions.
I'm scared. Get into it.
The truth is, I don't want to get married, and I have no intention of ever getting married, because if I get married, I won't be able to see my friends like I used to, and I don't want to be locked up with you all the time.
Where did this come from? What? What happened?
I've been addicted to smoking devil's lettuce for a year now. I smoke it almost every day. It relaxes me and helps me stop thinking about my problems. Your past has always bothered me. I still can't believe you slept with people like it was nothing. And the worst part is that you don't regret it. I'm sick of people saying things to me about you and making fun of me for having you as a girlfriend. I don't see my future with someone with your past. Because of you, I have to keep up this mask of everything being fine. I'm stressed all the time. I feel pressured about marriage. I don't feel ready. And I honestly don't think I can get married, and you keep insisting all the time. I always feel like I have to tell you where I am and what I'm doing. I feel suffocated. I feel like I'm living in a loop where all my days are boring. I have no purpose, and I don't feel motivated by anything.
So get that time machine DeLorean, go way back, and make sure you never date this guy. Stop yourself from dating this guy, because boy, oh boy, That was rough.
All he had to say was he realized he never wanted to get married to anybody ever.
Yeah, he needs one. This is stemming from a lot of stuff. Obviously, from people talking to him
This
behind your
man needs to
back.
get some freaking self-esteem and butt out of your past.
But this guy also needs to just, one, not let everything bottle up. He let everything bottle up, and he let everything out. Boy, this guy doesn't know how to communicate, but also got a very terrible mentality on a lot of things.
You can imagine the shock I felt when he revealed all of that to me. I felt like my world had turned upside down. All those things he admitted were totally opposite to the things he had told me and promised me. The strangest thing is that those were things we had both seriously discussed before we started dating. About marriage, he always showed interest in the subject and even gave me a promise ring. He often started the topic about our married life, so I don't understand where that complaint came from. Regarding his regular use, I suspected he was hiding something from me about his health, but I had no idea it was this serious. He always seemed to have everything under control. I never imagined he'd be going through something like that, and he never mentioned it to me. I had no way of knowing. About my past. When we first started dating, I was honest with him and told him about the things I used to do before I was in a relationship with him, mainly because I wanted to avoid any misunderstandings. I truly care about him and would never do anything to hurt him, much less be unfaithful. I didn't expect him, of all people, to judge me that way. Regarding his feelings about marriage, I had no idea that he felt that way. He never told me anything about his insecurities or his fears. In fact, he never told me his problems. He preferred to solve them on his own and keep his discomfort to himself, which led to several arguments over time. Finally, I must admit that at the beginning of our relationship, I was quite possessive and controlling. But I took note of my flaws and went to therapy to improve as a person and not damage our relationship. I healed many things about myself, and although I still need to improve in other areas, I must recognize that I've come a long way compared to how I was before. We had an argument about what we were going to do with our relationship. I thought he was planning to break up with me after confessing all that, but to my surprise, he told me he needed some time to go to therapy and make a decision. I replied that he should give me a clear answer at that moment. Do we break up or not? But he didn't know how to answer. That hurt me deeply. He didn't completely trust me, but he didn't want to let me go either. He insisted again that I give him time to go to therapy and make a decision. Although not totally convinced, I accepted his agreement. During the rest of the night, we didn't say anything. We just hugged and said goodbye. Right now, I feel confused. It turns out that the person I thought I knew better than anyone isn't like that. I love him, and part of me thinks that something must have caused that sudden explosion of emotions, because that was the first time he showed me that side of him. And by the way, I'll show you guys a whole new side of episodes with stories just like this. Go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, search up OK Storytime. Any final thoughts before we wrap this story up?
So, you're probably in a very confused place right now. I think because this just happened, and you're at a you're just like, whoa, that was a lot. I think he does need to go to therapy, and you guys need to have another serious conversation. Give yourself a little bit of space to just process things for him and for you, because that is a lot. I'm still processing what he said, because that was a flurry.
Kind of on team breakup.
I am too, because he's been holding this in for a long time.
Right.
He's been, in a way, lying to you. But I also would bring up the fact that something must have triggered this. Either A, again, he held it in for too long, or B, something must have triggered this to the extent it pushed him over the edge.
I'm a little too worried about his comments about your past and stuff.
Yeah, that's
Because that's
your past.
nothing that you did wrong, and I think that if he can't, be okay with that, then he shouldn't date you.
And especially judging you, especially after you guys
Right.
talked about it even before you started dating.
Right. And right now, it seems like he just doesn't want to get married to anybody. And if that's something that you really want, that's a pretty big deal breaker.
It could be something that he was so set on, and then there's a hiccup or depression or something.
That's fine to change your mind about it, but I don't think that we stay through. I don't know. Right now, where I'm at, I feel like this is a time to at least reevaluate everything.
Definitely
but I'm
reevaluate,
leaning
and
towards this could be a breakup.
like I said, just process things. I would say don't process things right out of emotion. Okay, let's come back to reality here. Let's take some time, have another genuine conversation, because you were even all right, with all that, do you want to break up? And he's like, I don't even know what I want right now. So he's definitely at a place where he's lost. You're also like, what the F just happened? I feel like this is something that needs to be worked on before we make any sudden changes or decisions completely.
But if in the end it turns out that all this was the truth from the beginning and he has no intentions of changing, I don't want to have someone who's trapped in the past. The worst thing is that part of me feels that I owe him for all those times that I hurt him and overwhelmed him because of my insecurities. I would like to hear your opinions. Even more so, I would like to hear the experiences of people who have been through similar situations. That is the end of that story.
My girlfriend said we were exclusive during dating, but talks to another guy.
That doesn't sound very exclusive.
At the time, she was not technically my girlfriend. Rachel, 22 female, and I, 22 male, attend the same university and went on a few dates in early 2020, which were seriously some of the best dates I've ever been on. Then the vid hit, and we weren't sure when we would see each other again because at that time, we did not realize how long the vid would go for. By the way, this comes from user Need a Better Outlook, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Keon.
I'm Carly, Keon's girlfriend.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we do not have all the answers. We only know what we do, so please let us know what you do. As OP says, we continued texting every day and started FaceTiming a couple times per week. This went on for almost 4 months. About a month or two prior to our first date, I do not know the specifics of the timeline exactly, Rachel matched with Eugene, 22 male, on Bumble. They talked for a little and hooked up a couple times before deciding they weren't compatible. I guess they remained friends, and when Rachel mentioned him to me, she said that she has absolutely no interest in him. This did not bother me since it was before we had met, and I had my share of experience with other girls prior to us meeting as well, though I did not remain very close with any of them. Rachel and I had never officially started dating, and were only in the talking stage. However, we had on multiple occasions and discussions about how neither of us was seeing anyone else and had no interest in other people, or so we thought. Then over the summer, she told me that she felt too busy with her work and everything else going on to give the relationship the time that it deserved. Her exact words in text were, "I'm just getting busy here, and it's a lot less stressful if I have to be thinking of when I'm gonna talk with you and all that." But she would send a couple texts, but for the most part, wait until the fall to continue things, which is about 2 months away. I was disappointed, but also working 40 plus hours per week at an internship, so I was busy anyway and passed the time. I also specifically asked if there was another guy, and she assured me that there was not, and she was not talking to anyone else, and that she really was just too busy with everything to feel like she could provide the commitment I deserved. She did not make it until the fall, however, and exactly 5 weeks later texted me and rekindled things. Once the fall semester began, we started seeing each other in person again, talking daily and going on dates, and things started to get more serious. However, at the time, she was afraid of labeling things and preferred to say that we were seeing each other exclusively, but not boyfriend/girlfriend. I said that was fine. But after about 5 months of this, it became clear that I was looking for something more serious than she was, and we parted ways. She was the one who ended things. Not surprising. About 2 months into those 5, so 2 months after she rekindled things, I asked if she did anything with other people during the 5-week break that we took. This is when she informed me that she did not do anything physical with other guys, but did exchange explicit photos and videos with her BFF, Eugene. I do not know exactly when in those 5 weeks it occurred, how many times it occurred, or how many photos and videos were shared. All I know is that she sent at least 6 photos of herself and at least 2 videos on one occasion, and that he shared similar. Additionally, I know that it began after a day of playfully flirting, which she says was normal between them, and never spicy related in the past, but that day was different. She also insisted that it meant nothing. I was clearly quite hurt by this, but stuck with her, and she continued her friendship with Eugene. I told her that it made me uncomfortable that she would text him every other day in FaceTime, but she insisted that they were only friends. She would also tend to get upset with me when I mentioned it bothering me, because she claims that since we weren't dating at the time, she was completely in the right to send him photos and videos. She also did not like it when I said that even if she no longer is interested in him, he is clearly still into her. She would get angry at this because I was discounting the strength and foundation of their friendship, that it isn't just spicy related. I trusted that she was no longer doing anything spicy related with him, and things between us were fine, but I never got an actual closure with the situation.
So we're not gonna date her, right?
So you're gonna get at least your closure, right?
We're gonna get closure by closing off this relationship.
You're setting a boundary in what
Not
you
even
want,
one.
right? You're trying to set at least a genuine compromise of, hey,
Yeah. OP, I fear you do now have the information, and I'm not blaming you, but we should just end this. I say get out of here. We don't need this weird lady in our lives.
guess what? OP says, our breakup months later was very clean, and after things ended between us, I was sad for a while, but moved on and completely forgot about the whole Eugene thing. Okay. Fast forward nearly 11 months of not talking to each other at all, outside of about 5 texts total, which were, to be honest, irrelevant, and she hit me up asking if I would be willing to talk over cafe. I agreed to since we had an extremely amicable breakup before, and neither harbored any ill will towards the other. Seeing her again reminded me of all the great times we had and reminded me of how happy spending time with her makes me. Additionally, in the time away, she had started seeing a therapist and worked through her issues with labels and commitment, etc. She seems to be in a lot better headspace in general now than she was before. I did not initially intend to get back together with her, which you shouldn't, but we hung out a couple times and she apologized for how she treated me in the past and told me about a lot of her personal growth over the past 11 months. She also mentioned that I was right about Eugene because about 5 months after our breakup, he called her explaining that he and his girlfriend just broke up and wanted to have spicy sleep with Rachel, which she found gross and offensive. Flag on the play. So after hanging out a few times, we started going on what are clearly dates, and she tells me that she really likes me, she really likes me, and wants something serious with me this time. Plot twist, I tell her that I'm not sure this time and want to take things slowly and figure things out, which she agrees is fair. That was about 2 months ago. For those of you that couldn't follow my convoluted story, at this point we have known each other for about 2 years and have been some form of dating for almost 12 months. I really started to fall for her and want to be with her, but being with her again has brought back up all the old hurt and confusion surrounding the Eugene situation. I brought it up recently with her to talk about it, but it did not go so well. Apparently, she mentioned me to Eugene well before the incident occurred, but he did not care, and he still participated. Additionally, I saw someone's feedback on a different post about if someone is really a friend, then they would be interested in meeting their friend's love interest and potentially inviting them into the friend group. But I still have never met Eugene, as he has expressed no interest in ever speaking to me or meeting.
You don't need to meet Eugene. He's not even friends with this girl anymore.
My guy, Eugene is your op. Why do you keep bringing Eugene up?
Why are we talking to this girl still?
Move on. Plus, I know of a few negative things he has said about me to Rachel, but those are not really a big deal. She's still friends with him. Why? If she said, I'm still friends with Eugene, I'd be like, you know what? I don't think I can do this relationship with you.
Hey, I don't think I can do this relationship after you just told me that he flat out said that he wanted to sleep with you after he broke up with his girlfriend.
She is still friends with him, but they talk significantly less after his phone call begging for spicy sleep. I'm not bothered by the guys that she has seen since our breakup, since we were totally broken up, but I'm still very hurt by the Eugene stuff because I thought it was just a break, and we were exclusive even if we did not use the conventional labels. Also, I am bothered by her continuing friendship with him. Then stop talking to her.
Yeah, OP, I don't want you to think that we're saying that this is like on you per se, but like we have all the facts now. We're not happy with them and we're just staying. Why?
Because he has the rose-tinted glasses on.
Think I'm off.
Where I currently stand on things. I really like Rachel, and I'm happiest when I spend time with her. Also, she has had a lot of personal growth since the first time we dated, and things between us are better than ever. But at the same time, I feel disgust when I think about the Eugene situation. Don't have any real closure, and it's hard to get because she understands that I am still hurt by it, but she has moved past it. So it's hard to talk about and have legitimate emotional breakdowns when I am sad and alone at night, or even think about sending any sort of playful/spicy text to her. By the way, you can listen to full episodes with stories just like this one. Go to your favorite podcast app, such as iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and looking up OK Storytime. We have a little bit left. Boy, oh boy, OP.
I fear you are walking into a path of self-destruction. I say self because you have the facts and you're still doing it.
You just keep doing this thing and you think, yeah, she's done a lot of personal growth, but has she done, like...
Even if someone does that, though, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's, like, your time to give them that second chance. Like, you can still move on, and you can still say, hey, when we were together, you messed up, and I can't get past that.
Thank you. Because I was going to say, OP, Have you done any personal growth?
Ooh.
Because you're like, every time this girl comes back around, you're like, you go back to step one.
Have personal growth of your own self-worth.
Personally, you should grow up and get away from Rachel. I mean, she may be a great person, but the way she has you wrapped around her finger is just, brother. Just like, if it's making you stressed out, or like you can't get clarity or closure on that situation, again, that's her situation for her to handle. And sure, it may bother you, but if it's going to keep coming up and it's just going to bother you with her friendship with Eugene, whatever that is, and she's not going to change that, why do we keep bothering with this? Let's go ahead and finish up the story. I need advice on what I should do, and more importantly, the mindset I should have. Ideally, I would like to stay with her / date seriously and have a mindset that I can use to move past it and think about whenever I start to feel down / insecure. Or, alternatively, I shouldn't be with her.
Yeah, that one.
That one. There you go. Then I need advice on the mindset to be able to not feel so hurt and sad about not being with her. I don't feel like I have anyone I can really talk about with this. I don't want to tell my friends about the Eugene stuff, so alas, I'm consulting strangers on the internet. Any advice on what I should do and how I should approach it mentally would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
My wife lied to me for years, and now I understand why.
What'd she lie about?
And we have a trigger warning for mentions of abuse. I, 37 male, found out that my partner, 28 female, of 6 years, has been lying to me about everything about herself, including her parents' passing. Our son was 7 months old when the lies came out. Otherwise, the decision would have been easier. He's 16 months now. My head and heart are broken. By the way, this comes from Compulsive Liar Broken, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Carly.
I'm Carly's boyfriend, Keon.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we would do, so let us know what you would do in the comments. And OP says, I love this girl so much, but the sheer volume of lies has absolutely broken me. Driving. She said she drove a company car but couldn't drive for personal use. When she moved in with me, she got a new job and walked to work as it was close. So she said she didn't need a personal car anyway. Truth is, she can't drive. Her education. She said she got all A stars in her A levels and was in the local paper for this achievement, the highest possible in the UK. Truth is, she has average grades, not that this would ever matter. Her job. She said she was a financial analyst. Truth is, she's a customer advisor, again, not that this would ever matter. Accepted to dentistry. She knew this was my profession, so I think she was trying to build a connection. She wasn't accepted. She didn't even apply or want to do it. She actually lied to mirror my interests a lot. Her parents passing. She said her parents passed away in a car accident when she was 11. Truth is, her mom passed away when she was 14, and her dad recently passed away. Brother. I have literally no idea she has a brother. There were countless other little lies. Things like pretending to win awards at work, or saying she bumped into her ex and he asked to sleep with her. Whenever I would question her if things didn't add up, she would gaslight me and continue to lie. I feel stupid for not figuring this out sooner, but she was just so convincing. I feel so betrayed, as we have spent years having conversations about stuff that was never true. I feel like I don't really know who she is anymore, and that I fell in love with a fantasy. She also lived a couple hours away from me, and whenever I suggested going to visit her, she would say she's working closer to me that weekend, so there's no point. This never really added up, as it literally took years until I went to her hometown. I just had to turn up one day to surprise her, as she was always making excuses. She was obviously trying to keep me away from her town in case any of her lies came out. She used to say she's had that much trauma with her parents' car crash in her hometown that she would prefer to visit me. So it was always a sensitive topic to bring up as well. I randomly found out the truth because I was looking in the loft for some old stuff and stumbled across her actual educational certificates. This opened up the can of worms. However, she did keep lying, and it was only until I messaged her sister that her sister told me everything. When I confronted my partner, she again continued to lie, but then eventually told the truth. I spoke with her oldest sister alone, and I'm pretty sure all the truth is out now. She has 3 older half-sisters, same mom, different dad. They initially lived with my partner growing up, but left when my partner's dad moved into their home. Her sister told me stories of how my partner's dad would be throwing plates, axes, glasses all around the house, so the sisters all moved out to live with either their own dad or to leave the country entirely.
I like how it went from plates, axes, and then glasses.
I know her sister wasn't lying, as I called her first before confronting my partner about the lies. Her sister told me stuff that I had not even suspected. She was so worried for my partner that she wanted to get all the truth out, as she had no idea how bad my partner's lying had become. Her sister invited me to her home to show me photos and explain what had happened to them as kids. She even told me how their mom used to pick on my partner for her lying, even singing this song to her about lying, and also had a nickname for her about being a liar. Basically, she has had a terribly awful upbringing, and she's lied so much in order to try and cover up this past. She also said she never felt good enough for me, so she wanted to impress me. When the mom passed away when my partner was 14, the kids were put with the aunt who was also treating them badly. As soon as my partner was old enough to get a job and move out, she did. She was 17. Her brother then went back to the dad as he wanted a parental figure in his life. This is why my partner never mentioned the brother, as she didn't want me to find out about the dad. So basically, there was a tremendous amount of childhood trauma, which has caused her to have a lot of issues, resulting in her being a compulsive liar. Her sister said she always lied, but they were always little lies, not big ones like these. She said she lied as she felt ashamed of what happened to her. She was embarrassed to tell me, and she never felt good enough for me. She's such an amazing, sweet person, and we just always got on so well, but I'm just finding it so difficult as we've spent so many years together, having so many deep conversations, and none of it was real. Obviously, the trust has been completely demolished, and my head is all over the place with the situation I find myself in. I have been very lucky with my life. I have a great family, a large group of close friends. I've been very fortunate with my career and education as well. So maybe this intimidated my partner and made her feel like she needed to hide the truth even more. I'd hope that I'm not doing anything to make her feel like she has to lie. I've never had this problem with any other relationships. My partner is absolutely stunning, but she does often say how she doesn't feel good enough for me. This definitely stems from insecurities, as she is gorgeous and I often compliment her. But if your own parents don't love you, I suppose she struggles to accept love, praise, or to feel good enough for people. My partner has started therapy and wants to get better, but I'm unsure if too much damage has been done. In a weird way, if I try to reframe what happened as my partner trying to protect and impress me, then it doesn't feel as bad. But other days, I just feel so lost, confused, and betrayed. I stayed in a separate room for a few months just to let the dust settle. I spoke with my family and close friends, and they pretty much all said I'd regret it if I didn't at least give it another try, as everyone always says how amazing, kind, and nice she is. This is what I'm currently doing. I think the sobering fact is that we all pretty much know that if we didn't have a son together, then I would have just left the relationship as too much damage has been done, especially to the trust. My partner initially went for individual therapy, however, they quickly recommended couples therapy. We have done couples therapy for a few months now together, and as part of that, they also have a few individual sessions with us and then go back to the couples. The couples therapist has suggested that my partner should apply back for individual therapy in a couple of months, as she feels this is significantly more important at this stage. She has so many good qualities as well as her obvious flaws, but I kind of just feel trapped now in a situation that was never allowed to consciously decide for myself. I feel like I've had the opportunity to make an informed decision on my own life stolen from me, and it's really difficult to come to terms with. It's almost been a year now, but there's literally not been one day where my mind isn't racing about all the lies she's so effortlessly told. It's the gaslighting that really hits hard, because there were so many times where I'd question things that didn't add up, but she just kept lying and lying until I gave up questioning. The thought of my partner and my son being in a home, possibly struggling without me, is heartbreaking. Or me dropping him off and knowing I won't see him again for a few days. It just makes me so sad. I would never just leave my son, though. She definitely isn't well from all of the trauma. Having said that, she is honestly a fantastic mother. And I would think you guys were really fantastic if you went and listened to full episodes with stories just like this. Go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, search up OP Storytime. Any final thoughts?
Ooh
Thoughts about this all?
That is a lot to consume right there. I think this is something you go in day out. OP, you're doing the therapy, you're doing couples therapy. It's just you ride this wave. You know, there's gonna be good days, there's gonna be bad days. I know it's gonna be. I think you probably made that very clear. It's gonna be very hard to build that trust back up, and it's gonna be running through your brain like you take everything she says with a grain of salt now. Of like, is that true? it does suck. Well, you found out the truth again, where this stemmed from. Again, she had a very rough childhood, and that definitely comes from that. It's something that you can't just, in a week, yeah, that looks good, or in a month, it looks gonna look good. It's gonna be a day in day out thing until that either a your trust is completely back up with her, and that's great, or b you're just you live it and you just see how it goes day in day out, and it sucks. But it seems like, especially for you, I know it's very hard. I'm trying to put myself in your shoes and trying to understand, because that's could I imagine if you just lied to me about pretty much everything, and you're like, and the fact is she never came. It was a snowball. It was a snowball rolling down the hill, rolling down the mountain. That just little lies here, little lies there. It's just little snowballs that turn into a giant avalanche. And she got caught. She didn't tell you the truth. So I don't know. What would you do if you caught me lying to you about everything?
I don't know. Like I said earlier, it's very situational. Like I would need to know
Yeah.
why. I would need to know like how much. I would need to know like what factors it would change, kind of going forward, kind of thing. Because it's a lot to be given all at once and to find out.
Yeah, especially over the years, and you share a child. I think it's just communicate everything clearly. Is like, some days I like, hey, I can't trust you, or hey, you know, was that true? I think it's just the honest situation. You just can't live that life where you're just always uncertain. But that's just the fact of the matter. Just keep doing your therapy. I'm happy that you are giving her another chance. If she continued to lie, then yes, it would be very shaky. But if she's trying to really work on it and change how her mind and how her brain works, it's not gonna change overnight. This was years of trauma, and why she kept lying, and why she is a compulsive liar. So I know you're trying to understand, and you're working on it with her, and she's working on it. So that's at least positive. But yeah, you just ride that wave. You can't force it.
She loves her son so much and honestly never feel like she'd do any harm to him. He is her world. She looks after him so well, and I think because of her own upbringing, it's made her want to ensure he doesn't experience anything like what she did. I do worry about her lying to him as well. She has said that she's actively trying to stop her lies, so I suppose time will tell. We're not married, by the way. We live together in my home that I own outright, and we have a child, but no marriage or mortgage. Any advice is greatly appreciated, and that is the end of that story.